Welcome to the Assassin's Creed Timeline, Part 7, A Changing World. In Part 6, we saw the English colonies revolt against the British as Native American assassin and grandson of Edward Kenway, Connor, dismantled the Templar Order and re-established the Colonial Brotherhood, refilling its ranks with the help of the Louisiana assassin Aveline de Grand Prix. And France saw its own Templar-led revolution as the country ripped itself apart, and the French assassin Arnaud Dorian hunted down the sage, leading the Order in a quest for redemption, hiding his remains in the catacombs and ensuring that the Templars would never find it and uncover its secrets. With revolutions in two major countries, the world was quickly changing. Since the death of British master assassin Edward Kenway, the Brotherhood in London declined, losing complete control of the city that was at the time the center of power for the entire world. Now a Templar powerhouse controlling the destinies of nations. The British Templars had major influence in the country of India, where powerful Isu artifacts were thought to have been hidden. In the early 19th century, a boy named Arbaz Mir was born to a Muslim family and raised in northwestern India, during a time when a man named Ranjit Singh was taking over the land, forging the Sikh Empire, and eventually becoming the Maharaja of India. In the year 1819, his conquests resulted in the deaths of several Muslim families, including the family of Arbaz Mir. The young man grew up resenting Singh, seeing him as a cold-blooded killer. Arbaz grew up as a thief, and during a meeting gone wrong, he was rescued by a man named Hamid, the mentor of the Indian Brotherhood of Assassins. Indebted to the man, he decided to join the Brotherhood and dedicated himself to the ways of the Assassins. In the year 1839, Hamid sent Arbaz on a mission to recover a map showing the locations of Isu artifacts, most notably the Koh-i-Noor, one of the largest cut diamonds in the world. In reality, a powerful Isu tool that could locate other pieces of Eden and had the capability to be used as an energy weapon. The Isu Durga also imprinted a copy of her own consciousness inside of the Koh-i-Noor, and the British Templars were searching for the diamond and discovered that it was in the possession of the Maharaja, the man responsible for the death of Arbaz's family. And knowing the Templars would kill him for the artifact, Hamid sent Arbaz on a mission to protect him from harm, something to which Arbaz agreed to reluctantly, taking a slave called Raza with him. But the assassin had plans of his own and disguised himself and Raza, infiltrating the palace in an attempt to find the diamond before the Templars could. During his mission, he met a Templar general called Francis Cotton, aware of Arbaz's plans, and he followed the assassin as he searched for the artifact. During his mission, he became distracted by the Maharaja's granddaughter, Princess Piara, and followed her to the courtyard, amazed by her beauty. The two spent time together, intrigued by each other, eventually forming a romance that would last a lifetime. After making his way underground, Arbaz discovered an area filled with ancient Isu statues and found the Koh-i-Noor. But the Templar General Cotton, after following him, alerted the Maharaja's men that an assassin had infiltrated the palace, and Arbaz gave the diamond to Raza and attempted to flee, finding himself arrested, and was eventually freed by Piara after he told her his mission was to protect her grandfather. But to his surprise, Raza had given the princess the diamond, thwarting his original plan of taking it and letting the Maharaja fend for himself. But it was too late to save Singh anyways. The Templar general had poisoned him, ending his reign. And in the chaos, Cotton tried stealing the Koh-i-Noor, but Piara activated it, taking the form of the Isu Durga temporarily. The Templar general, terrified, shot at the Isu, accidentally destroying the diamond, and paid with his life as the Isu unleashed an energy blast from the weapon, killing Cotton and his men. Miraculously, the diamond reconstructed itself, and Arbaz took it to his mentor to keep it safe. After Singh's death, the area was in turmoil, with Templar influence stronger than ever, as the Maharaja's son was crowned ruler of India. During the next 2 years, Arbaz spent his time monitoring Templar activity and sneaking into the royal palace repeatedly to visit the princess.
Are you here to kill me, assassin?
I'd be a fool to think I could.
I could kill you now, slicing your throat or plunging my blade deep into your heart.
Take my heart. It belongs to you anyway.
Do you always have to have a line at the ready?
This brings us to the year 1841 and the events of Assassin's Creed Chronicles India. Arbaz went to see his mentor, believing that the Templars were looking for the diamond again, but couldn't find Hamid, instead discovering a blood trail and the Koh-i-Noor he left in his care missing. The new Master Templar in the region, William Sleeman, had Hamid captured and had him tortured by another Templar, Alexander Burns, in an effort to find out exactly what the diamond can do. The Templars had also discovered a precursor box similar to the one that Shay Patrick Cormac had originally found, which could show a map of other artifacts, but these Templars had no idea how to power the device, believing that the diamond could somehow be used as a power source. Arbaz, desperate to find his friend and mentor, made his way through the Templars, protecting the area to free Hamid.
Something big is happening, Arbaz. They talked about a box, and using the Kohinoor to power it. It may be Ezio Auditore's box that the Brotherhood lost long ago.
So you want me to steal the jewel back? And the box?
Yes. Go to their new outpost. You'll find them, and I hope the entrance to a secret place I've been suspecting for a while.
Finding the Templar outpost, Arbaz made his way in, suspecting that there was some secret hidden within that the Templars were interested in. And their suspicions were correct. As hidden deep inside the structure, there was an Isu temple built thousands of years ago by the advanced race. Making his way to the top, Arbaz found the Templar master Sleeman, activating the box with the temple's technology, revealing the location of another site in Afghanistan. But the technology in the temple hadn't been used in so long that reactivating it had consequences, and it began to collapse.
What on earth did you do? This site was priceless.
It was an accident. The temple collapsed.
After traveling to Afghanistan, Arbaz found a land embroiled in the First Anglo-Afghan War, in which the native Afghans fought against British Imperial India. Using the chaos of the constant barrage of bullets and explosions rocking the fortress allowed the young assassin to sneak through mostly unnoticed, and found another Isu temple, but Sleeman had already arrived. Finding himself outnumbered and outgunned, Arbaz surrendered and was handed over to Alexander Burns. Although he was at a disadvantage, the skilled assassin escaped and hunted down Burns, with the Templar offering him a chance to live if he could beat him in hand-to-hand combat.
Finish him! On, Captain! Get him! No mercy!
It will be an honorable death at your hands, assassin.
No. You will have to live knowing an assassin beat you. The men who stand here now will know you were defeated.
After defeating Burns, he retrieved the box and the Kohinoor diamond, and Arbaz was determined to keep the Templars from finding the diamond ever again. An artifact that could reveal Isu temples was too dangerous to be in Templar hands, and the assassin found Sleeman in a final stand, taking the princess hostage and ordered him to give him the artifact.
I'm sorry, Abbas.
Piara. I'm sorry too.
You'll both be very sorry if you don't toss me that box and the jewel now! Damn!
Arbaz saved Piara and Sleeman escaped with the box, and the diamond was given to a close friend of his, the British assassin Ethan Fry, who hid the diamond in an unknown location in India. This ends the events of Assassin's Creed Chronicles India. In the year 1843, Arbaz and Piara had a son they named Jayadeep Amir. At an early age, he started teaching his son how to be an assassin, proud that he displayed talented abilities. Arbaz was confident that one day his son would grow up to be a skilled assassin, and sent him on training exercises with Ethan Fry. Over time, Ethan realized that Jayadeep didn't have the killer instinct necessary to be an assassin, and told his father that the boy may not have what it takes. Arbaz was so dedicated to to the Brotherhood and the Creed that this angered him greatly and was determined to make an assassin out of his son, putting a strain on his marriage with Piara, who was a more gentle and caring soul. Eventually the time came for Jayadip's first assassin assignment, with his father, to track down and kill a Templar. But at the final moment, Jayadip hesitated to strike the final blow, causing the fight to break out into public streets. This act put the Brotherhood at risk, as it exposed its activities to the public, breaking one of the main tenets of the Creed. Over time, the Brotherhood had developed strict rules to protect itself, as its history was filled with defectors joining the Templars, and different branches of the Brotherhood being compromised. Jayadip's failure made him eligible for execution under assassin law, and Arbaz, being so loyal to the Creed, was willing to see his son die for this, much to his wife's disgust. During this time, Ethan Fry's wife and fellow assassin Cecily Fry gave birth to 2 twins, Jacob and Evie Fry. But sadly, Cecily died from complications in childbirth, leaving Ethan with the responsibility of raising 2 children. Ethan Fry left the twins with their grandmother for caregiving while he returned to India to save the life of his friend Arbaz's son. He had an idea that would keep the assassins from executing one of their own. He convinced the Brotherhood to exile him from India, and the British assassin took Jayadip with him to London to work undercover for the British assassins in a role that didn't require him to be in the field. Arbaz thanked his friend for saving his son's life, and the two departed for London, and Jayadip eventually adopted the name Henry Green. Through the years, Henry's parents would come visit him from India frequently, but he always held a resentment towards his father for allowing the assassins to attempt to execute him, and for his exile, taking him away from his homeland he never wished to leave. And the relationship between father and son eventually soured. Working under Ethan's watchful eye, Henry Green became familiar with the workings of London and understood the extent of the Templar operations there, as Ethan operated within the city and trained his own children on the side in the ways of the assassins.
Ladies and gentlemen, the unstoppable Fry twins. See them nightly at Covent Garden.
George, honestly, I've studied the plans of the laboratory and have every route covered.
And I've got all I need right here.
Chat later, George. We've a train to catch.
Jacob! Evie! May the Creed guide you, you vagrants!
Poor man. More afraid than ever. The years have not been kind.
Evie Fry, where do you get it from?
The same place as you.
But weeks before the twins were set to arrive, Ethan Fry died naturally from a lung infection. Henry Green found himself to be one of the few remaining assassins of the British Brotherhood and became their leader, sending a letter to the Assassin Council located in the town of Crawley, England, requesting help, and he would soon receive it from the Fry twins. Ethan raised his children to think for themselves and act independently, each forging their own way of following the Assassin's Creed. Evie was more stealthy and cunning, focusing her skills to obtain her objectives quietly, planning every aspect of her missions perfectly, and preferring to divert attention away from herself. Jacob, on the other hand, was impulsive and cocky, preferring to confront his enemies head-on, and ignoring any chaos his actions may create.
Lost your bottle, boys! We seem to have made an unscheduled stop. Maybe next time I'll walk.
The Brotherhood sent Jacob and Evie on a mission to track down an apple of Eden the Templars had attained, and a scientist called David Brewster was tasked with performing experiments on it to unlock its full power. Learning that the second-in-command of the Templar Order in London, Lucy Thorne, had discovered a second piece of Eden, and the apple of Eden that Brewster experimented on became unstable and exploded, as the two assassin siblings met outside with their contact from the Council.
There was a slight complication.
How slight.
The lab exploded.
Jacob.
You derailed a train.
Oh, he did. Did he?
Well, the train derailed and I happened to be on it.
The Templars in London had recently chosen a new Grand Master, a man named Crawford Starrick, so ruthless and thorough that no aspect of society escaped his touch. The daytime of London was filled with corrupt merchants loyal to the Templars and politicians put in place by the Order. At night, the city was terrorized by a vicious street gang called the Blighters to keep the population fearful. As the twins arrived in London, they discovered a cesspool of crime even they weren't safe from.
It's just the way Father described. Now, to find Henry Green and formulate a plan of attack against the Templars.
Is Mr. Green again?
The assassin watching over London? Did you not listen the first 3 times?
Listen to what? Oi, watch it.
Beg pardon, sir.
Oi! Come back here, you filthy dipper!
This leads us to the year 1868 and the events of Assassin's Creed Syndicate. Thinking the council had sent Evie and Jacob, Henry Green, the son of Arbaz Mir, found them and explained the dire situation that Starrick had placed London in.
2 assassins. Equal in height, 1 female, 1 male. 2 decades old. You must be the Fry twins. Today, Starrick sits at the helm of the most sophisticated Templar infrastructure known in the Western world. Every class, every borough, the gangs, the industries.
I've always thought of myself as a gang leader. Firm, but fair. Well, I have uniforms. And I'll unite a mix of disenfranchised outsiders under one name. That's it, Evie. We can rally them to our side.
Oh, like the way that you rallied those card players at the Oakbrook Tavern into the river.
Oh, that was different. They beat me at whist. I can see it now. We'll call ourselves the Rooks.
You were never good at chess either.
Have you got a better plan?
Find the piece of Eden.
Oh.
Well, let me show you the lay of the land. Shall we?
Child labor was being used to serve Templar needs, street gangs were out of control, and Templar influence was everywhere. Henry provided them with a list of all the contacts he had developed over the years, including a young girl named Clara O'Day, leader of a group of orphan children that stuck together making their own lives, that sent them on missions to free other children being forced to work, and a police sergeant named Frederick Aberline, who was a master of disguise, a man that Jacob would come to know well.
Splendid fellow you're talking about.
What's this?
God's sake! Are you trying to blow the gaff?
What?
Jacob, it's me, Sergeant Frederick Aberline.
Freddy.
Sergeant.
Quite a carriage you got there. Where did you buy it, if you don't mind me asking?
Ask all you want, Freddy. You'll never get an answer.
Damn it all. Was it my eyebrows?
Yes, and your face, voice, and body. Oh, Freddy. I hardly recognized you in your police togs.
You certainly scrub up well.
Sergeant Aberline gave Jacob the names of several gang leaders around the city, and he stalked them, hunting them down one by one, working towards his dream of uniting the gangs of the city under the banner of his Rooks, loyal to the assassins.
Post your noble boss, this thief of children.
Or you could do better.
Join me. Join the Rooks. Mr. Fry, listen. We can split the money. I mean, just take it all. Rooks with me.
I'm going with a rook. Come on, or soon enough.
Jacob continued building his gang up, and Evie focused on uncovering information on this mysterious artifact that the Templars were after in London, working together with the more intellectual Henry Green, and developing romantic feelings for each other. During their research together, Evie and Henry discovered that the Templars were looking for a Shroud of Eden, the Isu artifact that can heal any wound, essentially making the wearer practically immortal. and they came across a map that led them directly to the mansion of Edward Kenway, finding the Master Assassin's old mansion crawling with Templars. Evie made her way inside and discovered a secret room that Edward had built in his home to keep his secrets away from the public, a room adorned with his memories of his time as one of the most legendary pirates of the Caribbean Sea. Evie looked through Edward's old belongings and found a secret key and the history of the London Assassins, revealing the location of secret vaults that Edward had discovered in his lifetime, some of them found within London itself. And she opened a secret passage that led her out of the mansion and back onto the streets of the city. Meanwhile, Starrick remained in power, completely unconcerned with the danger that the assassins in London posed.
The man is clearly an anarchist!
Gentlemen, this tea was brought to me from India by a ship, then up from the harbor to a factory, where it was packaged and ferried by carriage to my door, unpacked in the larder and brought upstairs to me. All by men and women who work for me, who are indebted to me, Crawford Starrick, for their jobs, the time, the very lives they lead. They will work in my factories, and so too shall their children. And you come to me with talk of this Jacob Fry, this insignificant blemish who calls himself assassin?
Evie made her way to the locations recorded by Edward and used the key she had obtained to find an Isu key needed to obtain the shroud, but the Templar Lucy Thorne had followed her there.
Good day, Miss Fry. I'll take that.
You want the shroud to cement your own power. But what if you cannot control it?
And why do you want the shroud? Merely to keep the Templars from having it? How like an assassin. To hold the power of eternal life, and yet be too afraid to use it.
Coming with me? I have other plans. Damn it!
Evie had lost the key she worked so hard to obtain, and Lucy Thorne escaped, returning to Starrick, who was becoming more and more frustrated with the activities of the twins, and now started realizing that they may be an actual danger to the Templar Order.
Hearts must wear a mask.
Mr. Starrick!
Told you not to disturb me!
Evie worked hard to find the whereabouts of Lucy Thorne and discovered her, killing her, and taking back the key to the Isu Vault, holding the Shroud of Eden. After receiving the news that Miss Thorne had been killed, Starrick became outraged and swore that he would find the Shroud even if he had to raise hellfire to do so, determined more than ever to find it himself. Jacob and Evie found out that the Templars were planning to attack a ball hosted by the Queen of England in order to wipe out the English leadership and start over. Sneaking into the ball, Jacob traveled through the rooftops, taking out the Templars that were in sniping positions and pretending to be royal guards and saving the Queen's life, as Evie encountered Crawford Starrick face to face, taunting her.
The key to the walls is one must lead with one's right foot.
Oh, my! Everything all right, my dear?
Do you require assistance? I never liked balls.
But the entire operation was part of Starrick's plan to steal the necklace that Evie wore around her neck, containing the key to the vault. Having discovered the location of the vault, Jacob and Evie rushed to find it before Starrick could, but they arrived too late. Templar Grandmaster had found the entrance and was already wearing the Shroud of Eden, making him nearly invincible.
Mr. Starrick! You forgot to escort me home!
Let me rectify my mistake.
As the two assassins struggled against Derek, Henry showed up to help, and they were determined to remove the shroud and end the Templar reign in London for good.
Your reign is nearly over. It has barely begun. Evie, now!
After killing Sterrick, Jacob and Evie laid the shroud to rest where they found it and made sure it was hidden away again. The three assassins soon met the Queen and were knighted by her after she learned they had saved her life, ending the events of Assassin's Creed Syndicate. After freeing London, Jacob and Evie parted ways, Jacob staying in London and ensuring the Assassin Order grew strong once again, keeping Templars from regaining their stronghold. Evie began a relationship with Henry, and the two married, moving to India, where Henry was accepted once again into the Indian Brotherhood of Assassins for his actions in London. Throughout the next 2 decades, Jack trained many assassin recruits, including a boy named Jack, that he called Jack the Lad. The boy's parents were killed by Sterrick's Templars, and traumatized specifically by his mother's death, Jack was placed in an asylum and was freed by Jacob after Sterrick's death, taking the boy under his wing, thinking that the assassin way would help him deal with his tragedies. In the year 1873, Jack traveled with Jacob and several other assassin recruits to learn the fear tactics practiced by the Indian Brotherhood. And returning to London and continuing his training, Jack began to develop an extremist view of the Assassin's Creed and turned against his mentor Jacob Fry, stealing control of the Rooks away from him and brutally killing anybody who opposed him. During a time known as the Autumn of Terror, Jack murdered a number of assassins sent after him by Jacob, posing as prostitutes. These savage murders terrified the public and began to attract the attention of the media. Jack adopted the name Jack the Ripper and began sending letters to the police taunting them and forced the news outlets to publish his letters. This takes us to the year 1888 and the events of the DLC chapter, Assassin's Creed Jack the Ripper. A now older Jacob Fry confronted the owner of the local publishing company and begged him to stop giving Jack the Ripper the attention he craved.
Mr. Weaversbrook, I know you have more of the Ripper's letters.
I told you to stay away from me.
Stop publishing his letters. You've turned an unknown miscreant into a legend, and that's exactly what he wants.
Jacob! Thank God I found you. It's the Ripper. He's done it again. Katie! Oh, he can't. No, he can't have. And Lizzie. Not both. Not in one night.
Jacob was determined to track down his old trainee, and Jack taunted him by chasing him instead, eventually coming face to face with his old mentor.
Going somewhere, Jacob?
Jack, you're sick.
Only you know who the Ripper is, but you can't tell a living soul because it would destroy you and the assassins. No, 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 no!
Jack, we can fix you.
Fix me? I am the solution.
Knocking out Jacob, Jack took him and kept him prisoner, and soon after, Evie returned from India, hearing word from her brother of Jack's betrayal, and meeting with Frederick, begging Evie to stop the killer from continuing his rampage. All the work the assassins had done, clearing London of Templars, was undone by Jack the Ripper, who ensured the city would be gripped in fear by the murders, and the gangs that he secretly ruled in the streets. After discovering more murder scenes and standing against Jack's thugs, Evie tracked his location down to the old asylum where his journey began, and found the killer waiting for her.
There is a sickness in this world, Miss Fry. It made our crew. The people must hear us, and you know it.
What the hell is going on here? What the hell is going on here?
You will not make a monster of me!
The nightmare of Jack the Ripper was over, and peace slowly returned to London.
Jacob.
Miss Fry, what the hell happened here?
Trust me. Jack the Ripper's dead. Now help me, Frederick. I almost ever know that Jack the Ripper was an assassin. It's over, Jacob. I'm here.
That same year, in 1888, the country of Russia was led by a man known as the Tsar, from a long line of Russian royalty, Tsar Alexander III. A man the assassins thought would bring peace to Russia, but was actually colluding with Templars, and was the holder of the Staff of Eden. A Russian assassin named Nikolai Orlov lived with his wife Anna, who was carrying his child at the time, and he was tasked with killing Alexander and taking his staff. Nikolai found the Tsar traveling by train with his family, and set out to kill him. But the Tsar discovered him, a gigantic man compared to Nikolai, and attacked him. Outraged that he would try to kill him with his family so close by, the two men came to blows, and during the struggle the train derailed, resulting in the deaths of 21 people. The Borky train disaster. After the crash, Alexander taunted Nikolai, throwing the Staff of Eden at him, but the physically superior Tsar beat the assassin down, but refused to kill the man in front of his children. Alexander took the staff back into his possession and fled with his family, while Nikolai was forced to report his failure to the assassins. At some point in the next couple of months, Nikolai's wife lost the child that she was carrying, leaving Nikolai a bitter, angry man. The once gentler man, unsure of his dedication to the assassin order, became known among his brothers as having ruthless techniques, once even capturing a Templar and torturing him to find out where the staff he had failed to retrieve was being held. Back in London, as some time had passed, Jacob had a family of his own, and in the year 1893, he became a grandfather. His granddaughter Lydia Fry was born. Lydia's parents were constantly away on missions, having become skilled assassins themselves, so responsibility for Lydia's training fell to Jacob and his sister, raising the girl in the ways of the Brotherhood. In the year 1908, back in Russia, Nikolai discovered the Templars were holding the staff in a Templar research facility in the Tunguska region of Siberia, where the Templars were experimenting on it using electricity. The assassins formed a plan to infiltrate the facility and contacted the inventor and genius Nikola Tesla, whose reputation was ruined by the Templar Thomas Edison, after his own experiments with electricity stood against Templar ideas. From America, Tesla prepared a device that could harness the power of electricity and send it to the facility with the aid of the assassins. In the summer of 1908, Nikolai and a small group of assassins attacked the Templar facility to steal the staff before the facility could be destroyed, but the assassins found heavy Templar resistance and couldn't remove the staff before Tesla activated his machine from America, sending a burst of electricity to the location and overpowering the energy going into the staff, detonating it, and creating one of the biggest explosions in history, the Tunguska event, eventually blamed on the airburst of a meteoroid from space. It became the largest impact event in recorded history, flattening 770 square miles of forest. After the explosion, Nikolai woke up burned and broken, realizing that he was the only survivor, returning injured to his wife. After recovering, Nikolai and his wife decided to try and form a family again, and they had a daughter named Nadia. In time, Nikolai discovered that a shard from the Staff of Eden had survived, and a Templar agent called Grigory Rasputin had it in his possession, somehow making him resistant to injury after multiple failed assassination attempts. Eventually, Rasputin was killed, and Nikolai uncovered his grave, taking the shard from his corpse and keeping it safe. By the year 1914, war had broken out on an almost worldwide scale. World War I had begun after the assassination of the Royal Prince of Hungary and Bohemia, Franz Ferdinand. a conflict that would cause the deaths of millions of people from multiple countries, civilians and military. In London, Zeppelin raids rained constant destruction from the skies above, and at the outbreak of the war, Lydia Fry moved Jacob and Evie, now in their late 60s, to the English countryside to keep them safe from military attacks. In the year 1916, in the middle of the conflict, Lydia Fry was operating in London, trying to keep the people safe and fighting against Templars, trying to manipulate the situation. Meeting with one of her contacts, a young Winston Churchill, a man who would eventually become Prime Minister of Great Britain, enlisted the aid of the young assassin to root out a German spy ring and led by a man known as the Master Spy. This Master Spy was actually another sage, Aita reborn once again, and this time he also led a small cult that called themselves the Instruments of the First Will. These fanatics worshipped the Isu as gods, and many Templars even fell within their ranks, with the goal of finding Juno and releasing her from her prison in the Grand Temple, ensuring humanity would be ruled by the Isu once again. Lydia eventually tracked down this sage, killing many of his followers and ending him, believing this was the end of his cult, but elements of the cult survived and would become a danger to the world in later times. While the world was in chaos, in the year 1917, Vladimir Lenin led a revolution against the Tsarist royalty in Russia, sparking the Russian Revolution, which would eventually establish the Soviet Union. As the revolution raged on, Nikolai Orlov raised his daughter Nadia alongside his wife and was thinking of retiring from the Russian Brotherhood, not sharing the same dedication to the creed as some of his brothers and wishing to leave the turmoil of the country behind with his family. In July 1918, Nikolai was given one final mission before his retirement. The assassins believed the imperial family had in their possession an Isu box that could be a piece of Eden, and sent Nikolai to infiltrate the royal family's palace and locate it, discovering that the Templars were also looking for it, and horrified that they were willing to kill the entire royal family to get it.
Find out what they know, then kill them. Why would the Templars want to kill the Romanovs? Surely they would murder the children. I can't concern myself with this. I have my own family to protect. I need to find that box, and then get Anna and Nadia far away from this madness.
This leads us to the year 1918 and the events of Assassin's Creed Chronicles Russia. During his search, Nikolai found a young girl about to be killed by the Templars. This young girl was the royal princess Anastasia. Her entire family had been killed, and she managed to escape with the mysterious box that they had in their possession.
My family, I must find them.
They are dead. I'm sorry.
No! This can't be! Maria! Tatiana!
It's too late. You can only save yourself now. Think of what your family would want. Come, we must leave. I'll protect you. You have my word.
As he approached the box, the shard of the Isu staff around his neck activated it. The box was the same precursor box that Ezio Auditore had given the Chinese assassin Xiao Yun centuries before. At the time, it was thought to have been an empty box, but in reality, it had the ability to imprint memories and personalities into it. When the box activated, Xiao Yun's personality was imprinted into Anastasia's subconscious, forcing the girl to momentarily believe she was Xiao Yun and borrowing her skills.
Hands up! Who are you?
Dobry wieczór, towarzysz.
Don't move!
How dare you push me? I should kill you like I killed them.
Calm down, child.
Child? How dare you? I am Xiao Jun of the Chinese Brotherhood of Assassins. If you were not wearing the symbol of our order, I would kill you where you stand.
Snap out of it. Your name is Anastasia Nikolaevna Romanova.
My name is Anastasia.
Nikolai took pity on the girl, struggling to retain her own identity, and having a daughter of his own, decided to protect her, agreeing to take her to the Brotherhood for protection. But the doubtful Anastasia knew the assassins hated her family, and Nikolai assured her that she would be safe. At that moment, the train they were traveling on was attacked, and Nikolai rushed to confront their attackers. While they traveled to the assassins' headquarters in Moscow, the pair worked together to keep each other safe, and Anastasia even single-handedly rescued Nikolai when he was captured by enemy forces, eventually making their way to the assassins, Nikolai left her in their care and prepared to leave the country with his family. But Nikolai overheard a conversation with the assassins and their scientist. They realized that Anastasia was a living imprint of past memories now, and the Russian assassins wanted to experiment and figure out ways to extract those memories from within her. Knowing she probably wouldn't survive such a procedure, they agreed to follow through with it anyways, and Nikolai jumped to action, refusing to let her be harmed, after he gave his word that she would be safe. With a heavy heart, Nikolai betrayed the Brotherhood, attacking several assassins on the way to rescue Anastasia. In his mind, they were behaving exactly like the Templars that they swore to fight, and had become honorless killers out for themselves. Nikolai infiltrated the assassin research cells and rescued her, fleeing from the Brotherhood and finding himself in the middle of the revolution.
Must keep moving.
After successfully escaping the tank, Nikolai said goodbye to Anastasia and provided her with the means to leave the country, and she decided to leave to Germany, thanking the assassin for everything he did for her, ending the events of Assassin's Creed Chronicles Russia. After helping Anastasia escape, Nikolai rushed home to his wife and daughter, knowing the assassins would come after him, and escaped with his family on a ship bound for a United States that was welcoming immigrants from other countries. World War I had ended, and the family began building a life in the US, and even had a son they named Innocenti, but their happiness would not last. In the year 1919, the Palmer raids, conducted by the FBI, meant to capture and deport suspected anarchists, raided a bar the family was spending time in. The assassins had infiltrated the American FBI and were searching for Nikolai and his family. Nikolai managed to escape with his infant son, but lost track of his wife and daughter, later finding out that the FBI had deported them back to Russia. For 2 years he searched for his family, and found out they were transported from Russia to Finland, a country that was at war with Russia. Over time, numerous rumors spread that Finnish soldiers were executing Russians that were crossing their borders, and Nikolai became convinced that his wife and daughter had been killed. He raised his son in seclusion in a cabin in Connecticut, and one day his greatest fear came true. The assassins had found them. Sergei, an old friend from his days in the Brotherhood, was sent to track down Nikolai and the shard from the staff that he carried around his neck. Angry at his betrayal of the Brotherhood, Sergei threatened the life of Nikolai's son, and Nikolai, filled with rage, strangled him. He knew more assassins would come now, and there was no turning back from this, preparing his son Innocenti to be ready for the next attack and training the boy with all of his knowledge. The father and son duo spent years rigging the property with explosives and sparring with each other, and then the fateful day came when a squad of assassins came to carry out his assassination. An assassin triggered one of the traps, dying in the following explosion, and Nikolai killed 3 of them quickly, being shot in the leg and then rescued by his son. With only 1 assassin left, father and son ran, but Nikolai was shot, being left wounded at the mercy of the assassin. And as the assassin prepared to kill Nikolai, he yelled at Innocenti that his sister was still alive. But Nikolai, knowing the assassin was saying that just to lure his son back, denied the claim, and told his son to be strong. The boy understood his father's words and what he had to do, firing a shot and killing both his father and the assassin chasing them. With all the assassins dead, Innocenti returned to his father's body, taking his hidden blade for himself and leaving to forge his own path ahead. After a major world war and several revolutions, the world was changing at an unprecedented level, and the Templars knew they would have to change with the times to survive. Over the years, they operated as a secret order, denying their own existence to the public, first as the Order of the Ancients, then as the Templars. And even in secret, the assassins constantly thwarted their attempts and undid every scheme they concocted. In this changing world, the Templars decided that they would operate openly in the public, under the guise of a corporation, which they would eventually use to sway public opinion their way and make assassins look like the enemy of the public. For the 3rd time in history, the Templar Order shed their identity, and in the year 1937, they established a front for their activities, Abstergo Industries, a multinational corporation contributing to the development of society, with its influence influence in technology and finances spreading quickly and hiring legitimate employees. But at the highest level of the company, the Templar Inner Sanctum ruled, and their mission remained the same: the destruction of the Assassin Order, the procurement of advanced technology created by the first civilization, and the establishment of a new world order. Soon after the founding of Abstergo Industries, World War II would begin, the most widespread conflict in human history, involving more than 1.9 billion soldiers, with death toll estimates ranging from 50 to 80 million. The leader of the German Nazi forces, Adolf Hitler, spread his armies across Europe, causing destruction across the region, resulting in the genocide of entire groups of people. But the Templars at Abstergo Industries had manipulated the entire war, believing that it would aid them in the creation of the New World Order they so desperately wanted. The leaders of the so-called free world, Franklin Roosevelt and Winston Churchill, and even Joseph Stalin of the Soviet Union and Hitler himself, were all Templar puppets, used and manipulated to keep the war going. However, as the war continued, all of their pawns escaped Templar control and developed their own plans for the future of the world, and Adolf Hitler was deemed out of control. The Assassin Brotherhood was heavily involved in the war and worked to end the conflict, defending innocent people caught in the middle and tracking down the Templars responsible. Near the end of the war, it was clear that Hitler and Germany had lost, and Hitler planned to leave his bunker to meet with Winston Churchill and arrange an escape, executing his body double in his secret bunker and making the world believe that he was dead. Upon leaving the bunker, the assassins chased him down and killed him, ensuring that one of the major players of World War II was dead. Germany surrendered, and eventually the U.S. atomic bombing of Japan closed out the war, as Abstergo Industries grew in power, infiltrating the new world powers created by the war, while the world celebrated the end of the war. Join me next time in the epic finale of the Assassin's Creed timeline, in Part 8, Looking to the Past, where thousands of years of history come together as the assassins look into the secrets of the past to save the world from the tragedy that once destroyed it, and the Isu Juno's plot to retake the world from the human race begins to unfold, as the Assassins and Templars continue their never-ending struggle for power.